Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Wrestling Paradox podcast. Tonight in the Paradox, we're stepping away from the usual. We have a special guest in the house tonight. This is a big one for me. I respect this guy a lot, especially being a local talent. So tonight I want to welcome CCW's own, the Breakneck Kid, Alex Ocean.
What up?
So, thanks for being so excited. Alex, we really appreciate you coming on the show, man. You're an awesome guy for this. So, we have some questions we just want to go through, man, and figure out who Alex Ocean really is. And, you took a turn in your career at a certain point. So we want to know what caused that turn and what brought you to where you're at now.
Yeah, for sure.
So side note, last week's episode we had, a little backstory on our podcast is Thursday nights we review the wars on Wednesday between AEW and NXT. Then Saturday is usually like a topic night. Well, last week I came up with an idea of let's write our own pay-per-view. Let's, talk about our pay-per-view and, create something and everything like that. My pre-show was a 20-man battle royal. And you were the surprise entrance in my battle royal.
Right on. I'll take it.
And the big spot was you, Rhino had Moose on his shoulders, and you did a Canadian Destroyer onto a group of people.
I can see that.
See?
Can definitely see it happening.
Brody King won the battle royal, and spoiler alert, he became champion later on in the night. Just letting you know.
So Alex, we really dug in history, for whatever amount of years it's been to prepare for this interview with you. So we have a couple questions. We're going to date back, and Chris actually came up with this first question. So I'm going to let him ask it to you.
Doing my research, I see you were trained by, Paulo Marquez and everything. Like, what year did you start training with him, and how did you guys get linked up?
I started training the very end of 2017. It was like beginning of September, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what happened, man, I was living I'm from Wisconsin. So I was in Wisconsin. I got out of the military. I moved back, and there's very few wrestling schools around there. So wrestling was just one of the things I wanted to do. So kind of like everything in my life, I made it work. Basically, I packed up and moved to Florida. I finished college down here, and wrestling was one of the reasons I came down. So, honestly, I had no idea, who they were, who he was. It just, it was a Google search. That's all it was. And they were nearby, you know what I mean? And they were the only one, and I showed up, and I just never left. So that's how it went.
That's awesome. That's great. Just the history, proven Paulo Marquez is one of the great trainers. This day and age in this area too. So that's why I knew you were from Wisconsin. So I wanted you to see how you came from the cheese curd state, the cheesehead, to down here to Florida, and everything like that.
That's why I had to wrestle. Like the closest training center to where I was like 3 hours away in Minneapolis. So, and I actually planned on moving there first. But then the opportunity presented itself kind of to come down here, and I was sick of snow. So
Alex, real quick, you're from Wisconsin. That's something that I had saw as we were doing the research with you. Are you a Packer fan? No?
I don't blame you.
Can I swear on this or no? Do I go last?
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
you can go ahead.
Dude, all fucking day, bro.
Okay, my bad. I didn't know.
Hold on, wait. Fuck the Packers. Why, man?
Honestly, when I was a kid, like, I was just always the black sheep. So, like, whatever everybody liked, I didn't like. So everybody liked the Packers. So I became a Denver Bronco fan simply because of Super Bowl 32. Like, they beat the Packers, Terrell Davis, the whole migraine thing, and just I fell in love with them, and I've been a Bronco fan ever since. Literally because they were the ones to stop the Packers back in that.
I retract my statement from earlier before this one, sir. I am challenging you. That's awesome, man. Dude, that's crazy, man. All right, cool, man. That's awesome. So, you've really become like a fan favorite down here, haven't you? Especially in the Indies.
I mean, I guess as weird as it is, I feel like I'm more popular and more known like elsewhere than I am down here in South Florida. So like South Florida is just a weird place for wrestling, and so like I get more attention like up north, like in the northeast, and in like the Tennessee area than I feel like I do down here. But it's growing everywhere. So
Well, the only reason why he asked that is because last year, I would say middle of 2019, whenever you were tag team champions with Agony as American Horror Story, you guys were despised. Like,
yeah,
you guys were hated. And just a couple months ago, when we went to go see you at the Summer Glory show, you came out and it was just the big pop of the night.
Children, everybody was all over you.
At what time? When did you see the fans shift in that direction? Like when you came down here?
Well, I mean, two things. I mean, number one, I do cool shit and I jump off a lot of high things. So
okay,
everybody likes that. That's number one. And then number two, it's really hard to boo the guy that breaks his neck and comes back. So when you put those two things, like who's gonna boo that? So like that's kind of the two things that I still prefer to be a heel and an asshole, but it's like it was like I was working harder to try and get booed and it was like cheap heat than to just like take it as it is and have people like me. So
hold on, so I gave you the booze and it got to you. I mean, I gave you the booze, man. I gave you what you wanted, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, but everyone else was cheering. I gave you the little CM Punk go to sleep.
Dude, it was awesome.
Oh, man.
It was so, dude. You don't understand. The whole ride home with Chris that night, I was popping in the car. I was marking out the whole show. I was like, bro, I give that guy all the respect in the world.
Yeah, he did. He said that. He said that.
Come back and just like you said, you're not the breakneck kid for no reason. You broke your neck and came back from that. And anybody who does that, to have to come back from that, you become a fan favorite. And personally, as an indie guy, and I love indie town in South Florida, you became one of my favorites down here. So thank you for that.
Yeah. But you should have seen. I don't know if you would have like locked eyes with him when you did the CM Punk, but you turned around real quick. He his eyes got real big, and he looked at me. And he goes, "He knows who I am."
It was great.
Oh man, it was, and of course he had the beers flowing, so he's like, "I'm gonna fuck him up." I'm like, "No, you're not. No, you're not."
No, I saw you in the ring, and I was like, "Nah, man, I'm eating the humble pie right now." Dude, thank you for not accepting the death match. Thank you.
It's still open.
No, it's closed. 24/7 rules are out the window. It's closed there. So let me ask you, who reached out to you and gave you your shots in bar wrestling and GCW?
Are you talking about the generation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so nobody reached out to me. Like coming up, you gotta hustle and do all the work. So like when I went out to bar, that was I can't even say dude's name now. He's canceled, right? I don't know how. It's
okay.
Anyway,
it's cool. We talk about him all the time.
I did a spot with said former promoter at bar at Fest Wrestling up in Gainesville, and it got over because again I jumped off something high. So he liked it. I was doing the thing with Jamie Sinegal at the time, so it just made sense. It just fit what they were doing. I wanted to travel, and it was kind of perfect because it was like right when I came back from my injury too. So like kind of had that, that clout or steam or whatever you want to call it of like people like wanting to, see me come back. And so that was an opportunity. I got to do that, which was cool. The GCW in Clearwater, Tampa area, the generation, that was simply, I don't really work for him anymore, but at the time, Jay Rios, who used to work for them and book it, he saw me at a No Peace Underground show, which is Orlando, where I do those no death matches. He was booked there, and he saw me there and saw my match, and he was just like, "Hey, do you want to work, this show at whatever date?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I went and worked there, and I think I had like 3 matches for him or whatever. My last one being my broken neck, and it's kind of how it went.
Okay. Who was your biggest influences in wrestling growing up, and who's your biggest influences now?
The
only reason I'm intrigued by this question because I already kind of have a feeling I know which way you're going, but
yeah, I mean, Mick Foley was one of the big ones. Jeff Hardy, obviously, with the I've always been a fan of the big spot and the hardcore stuff. You couldn't tell.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, when I was growing up, like those were some of my favorites. But I also was like a really big Kurt Angle fan, which is kind of maybe wild because it's complete opposite. But like, he's one of, if not my favorite wrestlers ever, just because like he could do everything from the comedy to the being serious. He's a badass. He's a workhorse. He could brawl. Like there's nothing that dude couldn't do. So he was one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can definitely see it. But I mean, when I see you wrestling, with all the videos, I mean, going back to where you had, I think it was the 6-man tag team ladder match for the title. Did you, Agony, AJ Francis, and Austin and Stryker? Just seeing you guys perform together and everything like that, I compare you a little bit of Kid Cash, a little bit of Amazing Red, and a little bit of like P.D. Williams, all molded into one.
Right.
Just minus the hardcore stuff, like, because that's a totally different entity. But like just wrestling, just your persona,
right.
the way you move and everything like that. That's what I see. I'm huge into indie wrestling. I mean, I only watch NXT and AEW because we have a podcast about it. But
that's how I get them to hang out with me.
I mean, if we had more indie wrestling down here in South Florida, I'd be at every show, like 100%. Because I mean, I not idolize, but I can see myself being closer with an indie wrestler because 90% of the time it's not 100% their job. Like they're actual workers, and shit like that, So, and it's a hobby for them, but they're giving their heart and soul for it and everything like that. I mean, so that's why I like to, compare, I just think you're a mold of all three. If you can fantasy book yourself in a match to where you can have a 5-star match with a certain wrestler, who would it be and why? I know we're throwing hard ones, high heaters right now.
No, it's not hard. It's just I don't know. I get yelled at for it. So basically the match I've been trying to get or that I want down the line is Joey Janela. Is kind of,
You're
I
so
spent
excited right now. You don't understand what you just did to Chris.
I spent like my first year and a half of wrestling, like essentially ripping him off, and trying to basically get clout off of his name and just talk shit. And I did everything the exact wrong way. Like I own up to it now. I was a fucking idiot. But so that got me a lot of bad heat, got a lot of bad eyes on me, and like just the bad stigma that I had to like push away and work away from. But I mean him just because like, I mean, I think you can see the similarities, like, he may not be like a technical master, but he's a good fucking wrestler. He gets how to play a crowd, how to be a character and how to put a match together. And then same thing, like he does the big spots. And I love the big spots. So like, why wouldn't I want the match with a dude that does the same thing I do?
And you know what Joey is? He hates Joey Janela. He calls him Joey Nutella.
Jelly Nutella.
Or Jelly Nutella. And I'm like, man, like if you watch some of his old matches, like he's not a traditional wrestler. If you go back into CCW, him and Leo Rush, the storyline that they had for 2 years, I mean, doing a spot, hanging off a rafter, going to the table, like it's insane. Like it's just
Chris, you made me look like an asshole, man. Look,
I think you do a good spot on yourself.
Alex, let me explain. I grew up in the 90s, man, and I'm pretty sure you did too. So, and you yeah, I can tell you seem that age. So like I grew up with that where I didn't, we didn't know if they were friends in the background. I feel like every time I watch Joey Janela wrestle any match, and I respect the guy for what he does, jumping off high shit. It's cool to see, and it's crazy to watch. Just some of the way they set up spots now, I have not been a fan of, and I see it a lot in wrestling where you're setting up for not you in particular, you're setting up for the next guy's move, and that's something I'm not a fan of. It's something I've never been a fan of. I've always been a fan of the more. I know wrestling has taken a turn from what I was a big fan of growing up to what it is now, and I still respect it now. You guys are amazing athletes, and you guys are underappreciated for the athletes that you are. But Joey Janela just never – it's never done it for me. Like his character, I just never got into.
Right. I mean, that's fair. There's something for everyone. I think, wrestling has turned, but, there's still guys, especially on the indie scene. I look at like a Dickinson and AJ Gray. Like there's still that like almost old school beat 'em up, like, you know what I mean? So it's just it's taken a turn, but I just think there's just more avenues for people to kind of do what they do. There's a little, there's more variety now than there was back in the day, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And you see people like Sonny Kiss who are just, they're changing what wrestling is and the culture, and it's cool to see that stuff coming around. It's definitely taking a turn for the better, where wrestling's become more accepting. There's not such things as locker room heat anymore, and things that can hold people back unless it's yourself holding yourself back. So
Right.
it's definitely cool to see, these different avenues opening up in wrestling. Let me ask you, what made you more or less make the decision to get in deathmatch wrestling? That's a better question, I think.
I found No Peace Underground on Instagram one night randomly, just like scrolling through, and I was like, this looks fucking cool. So I tried to hit him up like 10 times, heard nothing. I hit up Casanova Valentine, who kind of like started the no ring craze in America. And, he kind of like, oh, I'll show the promoter, whatever. And I like showed up to a show just to watch. I talked to the promoter. And like, I just watched one. Cause I never watched the indies growing up. I didn't really know the indies were a thing. Like, I was a WWE fan and that was it. So like, I didn't really know the world of like death matches. You heard of like, oh, Mick Foley in Japan. Like, I never watched the shit. So like, I went and saw that and I was like, this is fucking wild. It's like I was like, I want to do this shit, and that was what it was. And like, luckily, like I had no credentials really to do it, but I just wanted to try it. They asked me right after. They're like, hey, we have a spot, but it's not a very glamorous one. You basically need to get your ass kicked. And I was like, fine, that's fine. So I took it, and then they're like, do you want a match? I was like, yeah, and it's been like hit the ground running ever since then. So like, basically, they liked my look. They gave me an opportunity. What the owner told me afterwards was actually there's a picture of me and like MVP in the ring standing across from each other. He said he's seen that ring. He's like, oh, we got to book this guy. So like, all right, I'll take it.
Definitely the best looking guy in short trunks and a weight belt. I can tell you that.
The only one, but
You look great, man.
Joe, but going back to what he said, what Alex said is, if you have to go on YouTube and watch a Casanova Valentine match. Anyone, I mean,
yeah.
they are the most grotesque matches. I mean, the no ring ones. Joe, when he talks about a no ring match, they're in the middle of a fucking bar,
Yeah.
just jumping off a stage.
It's like
I follow MDK, Murder Death Kill, all over Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Dude, Death Bear or whatever
like
his name
Club.
is. They're crazy. Yeah.
It's like Fight Club. I know the Fed trying to like fucking rip it off this last week or whatever, but like the real shit.
We don't talk about them. We don't talk about them.
Dude.
But
What is Shane doing to his character, man? Just stop. Go back to Japan, man. So let me ask you. You mentioned.
No, let him finish. Let him finish about the bar stuff.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, but the real thing, we have the no ring death match, like you said, it's in the middle of a bar. We got like 200 people packed in and just like circled around you, and I mean that's the fight. You know what I mean? So it adds a different level of realism. Even past that of like a blood sport kind of event and like stuff like that, just because like they're so close, like you can't phone that shit in. You can't, you got to look like you beat the shit out of each other. Really, like that's all there is to it.
Yeah. You have to look at too, Joe. Casanova Valentine, and I believe his name is Jimmy Lloyd. Jimmy Lloyd too is another one that I mean they beat the shit out of each other. It's pretty intense. Pretty intense. Like, I mean, I have a stomach for a lot of shit, and some of the stuff that
I watched a couple of Nick
Casanova, some of the stuff that Casanova Valentine does to himself and to other people, I'm like, no, I gotta look away on this one. I gotta look away on this one.
Alex, let me ask you a question. You said growing up you were a big fan of Raw in the Attitude Era. Were you a fan of any other promotion or federation or anything like that?
Well, I mean, I started watching kind of at the tail end of like, WCW, ECW, right in that, early 2000s. So I didn't really get to catch a lot of it growing up. Like, I remember them being around a little bit. And then when I really got into it was right around that time of like that whole invasion angle. So like, it was kind of the only thing around when I was like invested in the storylines and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So let me ask you, do you see yourself sticking around CCW to mentor the younger wrestlers coming up?
I mean, unfortunately, I'm already doing that. They're great. Frustrating. Gives me a whole new, respect for trainers in general. Like, it's, seeing one person take their first bump and like having a match is like cool, but like to do it over and over, it's somewhat frustrating, and I'm not sure I'd ever have the patience to do it myself. I try and help out the best I can. I'm not. I've been trying to take more of a leadership role because I like just kind of like to keep to myself and like do my own thing, and like I've always kind of been like are you gonna that's on you. Like you want to be successful, that's on you. You do that, whatever you got to do. But trying to help out more and be more vocal and kind of whatever. But it's still I'm still kind of an asshole. So
That's good, man. Stay who you are, man. Stay true.
Yeah.
You really are. Who in CCW do you see? And please take no disrespect to this because there's no one like you. But who's that next breakneck kid coming up in CCW? Who should we be on the lookout for? Who's gonna make the turn and blow up their name?
great question. I don't know. Like it's a school, so it's hard to tell. Like it's obviously there's people with potential there, but there's training and then having matches and getting good at matches, but then there's what I call like playing the game and getting yourself out into the independent scene is a whole nother animal, and it's not easy. It really isn't, because you go all over the country. There's amazing independent wrestling talents that do not get the respect they deserve, but they haven't figured out how to play the game for whatever reason. That they haven't gotten over online. They don't have this. They don't have that. They haven't just figured out whatever it may be. So it's one of those things. Like I don't really know. Like I love all those guys there. It's just one of those things you gotta find and figure out yourself, I guess.
Well, please tell him to come on our show. We'll help him.
I got a question too. It's who did you pop for? Like I know you said CCW is like a school and everything like that, and you have a lot of legends that come through. I know you said Mick Foley and everything. Who made you pop when they came in to help train at CCW? Because I know you got Gangrel, I seen the Al Snow MVP and everything like that. But who would you put the ear to the ground when that person walked in through the door? Like, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna shut up and not say a fucking word.
Well, all of them, but Mick Foley was cool. Mainly when we got to work the spot with him, like I was grinning ear to fucking ear when he walked out. I couldn't help myself. In terms of like coming in and talking, just listening, like MVP is just like next level. He gets it. Obviously he's made a career of it, but like he helps more with so many people will come in and talk about like, oh, this is another way you can do a wrist lock. Like I don't give a fuck, to be honest with you. I really don't. I don't care. Like I wrestle the way I wrestle. Like I want to add new shit. I want to get better, of course. But like when you have someone come in from outside, I don't need to learn a new way to get into a waist lock, where MVP will focus more on just how to be successful, how to treat it as a business, and yada yada yada, stuff like that. So I learned a lot from him, but I think every single one that's kind of come in, I've taken certain things from each one, and I've learned a lot from everybody that's come in, and just listening to what they say and just trying to absorb and be the best that I can be. So whether it be like in match or outside dealing with the politics, let's be honest, like wrestling is just like everything else. There's a lot of politics in it. It's who it's who you can get close to, a lot of the time. Like I said, play the game. So just learning how to maneuver and conduct yourself in that way is, that's 90% of the battle sometimes.
And the last question before we go. Where do you see the Breakneck Kid in 5 years?
I don't know. We're gonna, there's a couple different avenues I feel like I can take. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I do, and that's dumb, reckless, awesome shit, I guess.
That's
I can't turn off. I can't turn down the volume. I can't turn off that switch. So like even though like when I got hurt, people were like, oh, stop doing those. No, I can't. So I'm keep doing high spots. I'm gonna keep doing death matches, and I'm gonna, if my goal is to just make a living, like you said, wrestling, whether it's independence, whether it's with a company, there's multiple companies. Like, so I mean, that's the goal. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what those companies think of someone like me, you know? So
Well, Joe and I have come to the realization that Cody Rhodes does watch our podcast.
Yes, this is known, Alex. If you go back and watch our show and then watch the following week, they tweak it to what we say. I swear, I'm not.
100%.
Write the check, Cody. We know you're still watching.
Sign this man. Sign this man. Him and Joey Janela. We'll tear the roof off. Sign this fucking man.
Let me ask you, Alex.
Give me a match. Let me prove myself. I don't need the contract. Just give me a shot. That's all I need.
That's all he needs.
You, Darby Allin, and Joey Janela, 3-way. That's fine.
I'm actually. It's funny. That's very humbling. I get that a lot. People say me and Darby, which I find funny because I broke my neck trying to essentially impersonate Darby. So he's a little bit better than me in my opinion. But
we were at I think it was was Mania down here in 2017? Were they in Orlando? It was 2017.
Orlando 2017, yeah.
Yes, we were there, and we were at the Evolve show where Ethan Page and Darby Allin headlined. And it wasn't supposed to be a death match, and it was a brutal match. Very brutal match. And then they continued the story to the next Evolve pay-per-view, and that's when Ethan Page put him in a body bag and hit him with the shovel and broke his elbow.
Yeah, Darby's nuts, man. I fucking love watching him. That dude is next level fucking crazy.
Unorthodox.
Yeah,
That's what gets me is I don't like seeing, like you said, simple tie up, shoulder tackle, unless catch style can wrestling like Timothy Thatcher, Chris Dickinson, and everything like that. I also was a huge fan of a guy before the Speaking Out movement, the 105-minute man. I was a fan of him. Now we don't speak of his name,
Nope.
but I was a fan of his style too, and.
Right.
But now I'm getting bigger on Darby Allin because I like the deathmatch style. I like the unorthodoxness because it's not the same thing that you see in every other match.
Right. Yeah. No. He's crazy unique. So, seeing a guy like that, I try and I can't do some of the stuff he does. I'm not stupid. I'll be honest with myself, but I try and do like the same thing. Like I don't want to do the same thing everyone else is doing, and then B, I want to do different stuff like every match. Like. Everyone has like their go-to, their greatest hits that you do kind of every match, but try and change it up as much as possible so people aren't seeing the same thing over and over, try and get that.
Alex, let me ask you a question really quick, Alex. If somebody was going to YouTube a video of you or a match of you, what match would you tell them to YouTube?
I don't think I don't really have that much shit on YouTube. My suggestion would be go onto IWTV and just watch the match that I had July 4th with Eric Ryan because that shit was
Yo, I messaged you about that match. That was one of the first things I said. I was like, bro, that match was out of control.
Yeah, that would be the one. But I would also say watch this weekend because I hope to top that. I mean, that's a tall order, I feel. But, I'm going against some of the best in the world at this. So, like, it's it's gonna be good. This weekend's gonna be good.
Let them know who you're wrestling this week.
So this Friday I have Alex Colon, who is widely guarded right now as like the best deathmatch wrestler in the world. The dude is on a streak like no other right now. So it's super humbling to be able to wrestle him. I was supposed to have a match with a guy named Oren Veit from up in Wisconsin, who is another incredibly talented wrestler, but he was in that King of the Deathmatch tournament. He got hurt. He couldn't wrestle this weekend. So I have Alex Colon. They booked me with him, which is crazy. Again, like it's hard not to mark for myself.
Right.
It's crazy. Like seeing my face on these cool ass posters against these dudes, and I'm just like, wow, they're so good. I'm like, it's cool. And then the next day on Saturday, I fight Eddie Only, part of that 440 group with it's kind of running the Northeast and the deathmatch scene. So they both should be good. Like they're both super, super talented dudes, and like they're going to be brutal. That's all I can really say about it.
When can we see you in South Florida again?
That's on Florida. I don't know.
Yeah.
Florida, right now we can't run any shows, so that's on Florida.
Yeah.
Is that they said no more shows for CCW at this time?
As of now, yeah, just because Florida's so crazy right now. We're running in like Tennessee right now. We got another show in like October, so hopefully by the end of the year we'll have a show down here. I actually I hope to help well, there's another company that's going to try and run in South Florida, or will let me like book the show down here. So hopefully that happens too, like probably next year time, because no ring stuff. We're trying to bring that to South Florida. So
Joe, there we go. There you get your
Yeah.
first taste of it.
we're trying. We had it set. We had it set for like June or July, but COVID happened. So
Oh, Joe, just imagine you can stand there with like a Jack and Coke and just watch guys just fucking get busted open all over the place. Like it's just.
I'm more of a vodka cranberry fan, Chris. Come on.
It's like a Disney World for wrestling fans. Like that's just all it
That's
is.
awesome.
It's like, what goes through your mind as you step into those kind of matches? Like I'm always like, I mean, any other wrestling match you're getting the butterflies in it, but this is a different kind of butterfly.
Yeah, it depends on the match and the situation, but I'm definitely nervous every time, and not
Like Fridays, for instance, you're 2 minutes before your curtain, and you got Alex Colon. In your mind, like what doesn't it go through your mind? What's the butterflies like?
That one's gonna. That's the most. This is gonna be the most nerve-wracking match I've probably ever fucking had. It's just you don't want to fuck up. You want to make you want to stand out, and like I know what I can do, and I know I do it well, but it's it's intimidating. You have a very forgiving crowd. They're gonna react and pop for everything. But once it hits the internet, that's when you start getting all the critiques and whatnot. And so you have to stand out. And not only that, I'm in there with one of the absolute best. So I can't get a bad report. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to earn his respect in that match. I want to get his feedback and keep building on it. If someone's like, oh, this dude's the fucking shits, that shit travels far, from somebody like that.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. So it's nerve wracking, like I said, like I know what I can do. I know what I'm going to do, but it's, once the match starts, it's fucking smooth sailing. It's no problem. But before it's a lot of things running through your head and emotions and, it's like that every match, but just it's enhanced for the crazy shit.
It's kind of like going from John Elway to Brock Osweiler, basically. So I understand.
Well, Alex, man, we wish you all the best of luck, man,
Yes.
this weekend, and we hope you kick some ass, and hopefully we break some shit. Just not your neck, making some tables, please. I want to keep
break
you
a lot
around
of
as
shit.
long as
Hopefully
possible.
not my neck again, but I'm gonna break a lot of shit.
Nah, Alex,
Please
man,
plug your social media, Instagram, Twitter.
yes, plug everything right now.
Everything I have. Facebook is my personal Facebook. Is basically my wrestling sound. Don't worry about that one. But Instagram, Twitter, fucking TikTok, they're all at the Alex Ocean. I got all of them. I know everyone laughs at TikTok, but I have like more followers on TikTok than anything else. So
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Ocean cannot die, baby. Yeah.
And also, will the match be on IWTV tonight? This weekend?
yeah, they're gonna be streaming live Friday and Saturday. Also, cheap plug. If you use the promo code ICWNHB, you get a free 5 days, which are good for whenever you plug it. So you can get both shows for free, and then you can get 5 free days on the whole app of all independent wrestling TV, and you can subscribe to it or cancel it after that. So you don't have to pay to watch.
That's
Look at
awesome,
that.
man. That's awesome. There it is, everybody.
And he's got a
Alex.
Pro Wrestling Tees. Buy his
Yes,
shit.
Pro Wrestling Tees. Buy his shit. Buy everything you can. I'm heading over there right now. Make sure you follow us right here, Wrestling Paradox Podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Paradox Podcast. Follow CCWFL, Coastal Championship Florida Wrestling. Alex Ocean, thank you so much for everything tonight, man. We appreciate you having it on, and we'll see you around, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.